I
You
started
hear?
speaking, ma'am. Immediately when I started speaking, you waited till I started speaking.
I'm sorry. I didn't. I was actually just going to explain what I read on the email.
Okay, can I
I didn't.
explain to you what I was about to communicate? Because
Yes,
I
ma'am.
asked you how many intakes do I have to do. I did an intake when they demanded when I was in jail, arrested on false charges, and they tried to set up more charges. I did an intake with Stacy. No, I did an intake prior to that. I did an intake, and then I was slandered with the intake. So I said I wanted to do another intake, and then I did an intake with Stacy, and she slandered me too. So then I did an intake,
Yeah,
several intakes over the phone, and then now they're
right.
doing an intake again.
Oh, this is to update some paperwork, I believe.
But I already did
I'm not sure if
paperwork. I
it's.
mean, why? I've never, since I've
I'm
been
not.
targeted, I'm not able to speak. Since I've been targeted, I don't understand why it's everything so incredibly difficult. I've done paperwork multiple different times. I did it the first time, and then I wanted to speak with someone else because I was being slandered. They set me up to speak with Stacy to get slandered again, and then those two intakes. Then I did two intakes over the phone, and now I'm doing another intake. And then I was put on a waiting list to never get the services. And then, I mean, I just don't. Why is it such a lengthy
What?
process with all these intakes? This would be like the
Well,
fifth or sixth intake.
looking at the emails, you have actually been approved for services, but you need to come in to complete paperwork. So that's what you're not. You don't
But
have to
I'm
go
not.
through the
I'm
whole
not. I thought
intake
that
process.
people with that. What was I doing all the other times I was there?
I'm not exactly sure, ma'am. I
That's what
don't.
I'm trying to
Not.
communicate because I've already. If I can't communicate, because if those intakes were lost, six of them, how do we know this intake when I'm getting there at 8 a.m.? How do
No,
I know that this
but
intake won't be lost too?
this is because you've actually been approved for services, and so
What was
there's
happening when I
some paperwork
applied? I
that you would
mean,
have
how
to
long is the
complete.
approval process? Wouldn't I actually?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, well, can we find out? Because if I don't know what's happening here.
Well, I'm not exactly sure how long it'll take for you to complete that paperwork. That's
But
what
I'm
the
not being heard. I've
intake we're
already
looking
done it
at.
multiple different times. I've done two intakes in person. And I don't know. I've
Right.
lost count. It may be three. I've done two intakes over the phone as well. It may be more than two. So I'm trying. I would like
Okay.
clarity because it's like people are playing games and it's setting up intakes and
Well,
malice.
this
Because
is just so
people
that you
have
can
treated me
complete
like that for
paperwork so
years.
that we can go to the next step, which
Yeah,
would
I
be
don't
like
understand
just
why
to
so many
schedule an
steps.
appointment
What
with a
is
provider.
okay? This is what is it? What is this Gulf been? Nobody else that I've ever talked to has ever been through what I'm experiencing with you ever. I've talked to multiple different people that said they got services and they don't have a clue of what I'm talking about when I tell them what I've experienced.
No, I do apologize for any inconvenience, ma'am. But
But I want like
as
clarity
far as
because
with the
nobody else has ever experienced this on why I have to do all these intakes and then
but
each step is an approval process that
this
hasn't
isn't
happened yet.
this isn't intake. This isn't an intake that like the whole complete intake that you have to do. There's just paperwork that you have to complete so that
But
we
I've
can
already
schedule
done
an
it, ma'am. I'm
appointment
not
for you.
being heard. I want like to know because it's like people are just throwing my information in the trash and my rights are being violated. So if I repeatedly
But
keep doing
there's
all these intakes to get nowhere, where does that going to lead me? So I like clarity on what the process is so people won't keep on playing games and setting up intakes and different things to exclude me from services that other parties get that I've had to endure this years. So I would like some definitives like other parties get because it's like people are giving me
okay.
the runaround.
I can send an email for the intake department to call you to explain that paperwork to you. Unfortunately, I don't work in that department, so I'm not exactly sure what paperwork get an appointment scheduled since you have been approved for services. But I
So it's
can.
not actually an appointment, but I have to continue the process. And all those 5, 6 times wasn't actually getting the services, but we have to continue the process. Out of the 5, 6 attempts, it hasn't been enough, and we still have to continue the process. Well, does it take 10 years to get the services?
There's other paperwork
Five
that needs to
years?
be
How long is
completed.
the process?
I'm not exactly
Okay,
sure.
well, Ken, let's get a
Um,
definitive because you're saying you're sure that I will have to continue the process. If it hasn't processed in all this time, it may never process.
no,
It hasn't in
it's
multiple
just
different other
complete paperwork
locations.
since you have already been approved for services. Now that you've been approved for services, I believe there's different type of paperwork that needs to be completed so that we
Right,
can
and you
schedule an
said go
appointment
ahead
for
and
you.
complete that to
I'm just
continue the
not
process.
exactly sure.
Okay, well, Ken, I'd like to hold for clarity because people play mind games with me, and I like to hold
But
and see what the process is.
the intake department is actually in a meeting right now, and I can send an email so that they can contact you as soon as
So
they
let me
can.
make sure I understand. You're with Gulf Ben?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's your name?
My name is Angie.
Okay. So you know it's hidden. It's a secret on the process to actually get services. When do you show that I
No, ma'am.
applied for services first?
There's no secret, ma'am. I'm not exactly
It
sure
is a
because I don't
secret
work in
because no
that
one knows.
department.
It's a secret. If I've talked to people 6 times and never got the services, and I'm still going through the process, and nobody ever heard of my experience, then it is a secret. If no one else has ever experienced anything like what I'm experiencing getting services, and to this point, out of all the attempts that I've made, and you guys still aren't sure, and year after year, people are out to lunch, stop working there at meetings, and still haven't got charges, what would it benefit me if my abusers are controlling all my mental health treatment and everything else that all my surroundings and environment, and then play
Again, ma'am,
mind games,
I
and
do
then have to.
apologize, but I
I
don't work
don't
in
know.
that
No
department,
one
so
will
that's
tell
why I'm
me.
saying
If
I'm
no
not
one will
exactly
tell me,
sure
no one will tell me, ma'am. Whatever you got going on, whatever you got going on, ma'am.
Would you like me to go ahead and send that email?
I don't know what's happening. I don't. Nobody will tell me about the services, and I can repeatedly not heard that I'm violated all the time. So whatever you got going on, whatever secret password it is to get services that I haven't gotten ever since I've been targeted 10 years, and then even when I get these services, they're not going to be proper because I'm being treated on slander. So showing the lady death threat Stacy, showing her getting arrested for and police coming, showing her that the police tried to set me up and frame me with mental illness. Then they enlisted Red Roof in the basic blatantly lie. She saw it. I showed her me getting arrested in Austin. Then them coming to the Dallas Convention Center, and she still slandered me in the mental health papers, saying that I was schizophrenic. I showed her me being arrested at CPS.
Again, ma'am, I apologize.
But I don't know what to do because every time I'm trying to report misconduct, people try to slander or redirect the call, and I just don't get anywhere. That's not fair to me, and it's not fair to them for breaking up charges for themselves. There are someone's targeted naive people that if they can take advantage of and enlist them into committing crimes, and they repeatedly keep doing it. And then they sugarcoat wrecked up felonies and then try to pretend like conspiracy to violate rights is not a felony charge so they can continue to get away with crimes.
I will have a transporter go pick you up on the first part because unfortunately I don't work in that department, so I'm not exactly sure. I can't explain.
I'm not asking. I'm asking why I'm being mistreated is basically what I'm saying, and why people are lying about the process to get services. That's basically what I want to know. Why people are blatantly lying and saying that they're not sure all over the place year after year. And then making it impossible because they can't get their life straight. They're deliberately playing mind games, and their alibi to keep doing so is all these parties they don't know how I can get services.
Okay, ma'am. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna send out that email, and the transporter will be there to pick you.
And you don't know the time, so it's up in the air. I can't be ready if you won't give me a time.
I gave you.
So just it's pointless. It's nothing.